Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, November the 1st. Hey, we got our usual crowd. We got Tom, Lee, Gentry, and Tracy checking in, talking fishing on their bodies of water that they cover for us. We will be right back with what the guys have to say. Hey, we got our good buddy Tom Ott down here. We're going to talk a little bit of Guntersville fishing. Tom, tell us what's going on in that big lake up there.
Well, I tell you what, we got all the ghouls out of the way, so that's done. Now we just got to carry all those bags of candy, for trips out there. But we're starting to get that cool weather, a little bit of rainy weather, and makes me start thinking about crappie fishing and sauger fishing and things like that. But the bass are really, they're just really not giving up yet. I mean, they are just tremendously voracious right now. This cool weather's going to knock it back a little bit more. We've had these really cool nights, but I mean, I'm telling you, for you scopering guys, it's prime time right now to get out there and catch a sack. I mean, it seems to be, a 20-pound sack is really just not really putting in a good effort. So, I mean, it's super time to get out over some of those creeks, those big wads of bait, and you'll see those fish, just maybe 6, 7 feet up under the surface. Those are generally going to be your bass, fellas. So go out there and catch you a couple of big ones. As for the crappie, golly, I just wish it would come. I wish we could. I know we're going to turn the clocks back. I wish we could turn it back to the spring a little bit and start all that again. But the crappie are definitely starting to make that migration back up into the shallower areas, like we were catching them last year. Look for those big females. I mean, they're going to start coming in, and some of them are going to start having eggs in them as early as now, and up through the winter months into February. So, I mean, guys, it's just it's more of the same on Guntersville. It's hard to beat, and it is definitely the promised land.
I know there's been a frog bite that's kind of been going on. Some of those tournaments, even the Ultimate Angler, they were talking about frog bite. I
Yeah.
hear it's still happening. Is that true?
Absolutely. A buzz bait, some kind of, a buzz frog, something like that, or even just your floating, your spros. I mean, they're just killing it. I mean, the fish are really, really active right now. And so where you were finding those fish a little bit shallower a few weeks ago, you're going to have to look at a little bit deeper, but there's plenty of mats left. They're starting to really break up, but I mean, there's still plenty of that to go on. And if the flipping bite's still there, if we get some sun, don't know that that's going to happen, but I think that would really help that bite as well. There's a lot of things you can do. We talked rattle trap, spinner bait. Go do it. It's just time to be there.
Brother, we appreciate everything as always, and we will talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we're heading into holiday season, and as always, we got gifts, something that we're very thankful for in Tracy Robinson. Tracy, how are we going to find them swimming turkeys on Logan Martin and Lay Lake?
Yeah, Logan Martin, man, I've got some first-hand reviews and some second-hand reviews, Dano. Logan, it looks like any kind of brush or structure, anything you throw by right now has got a fish on it of some size, spinner baits, crankbaits, whatnot. But the topwater bite's still really productive on that main lake. I just talking to one of my buddies right now that's actually on the water as we speak. He said they're eating it up today still, even during the daytime. On these main lake seawalls. He's throwing top water out there. He said he just can't get away from it because the bite keeps happening and happening everywhere, as he goes down the banks. But, that's probably the key thing right now is that top water on those main lake walls there. But still, the crankbait on those rocky banks, chunk rocks, main lake still really good. Not seeing as much of the white bass and the schooling out on those flats. I think they've kind of maybe migrated a little further than those river flats at this point into the creeks probably. But the fish seem to be on the bank right now. The crappie still really strong up under the docks. Seeing a lot of crappie under the docks that I mentioned last week. So if I was recommending someone right now for crappie fishing, go shoot those main lake docks in the mid-river section. I'd say from Pell City Park back to Stemley Bridge area, kind of in that mid-lake. Shooting those docks, you're going to get bit. They're not on every pier, but especially if you've got some forward facing, you can take a look under the pier and see some of the ones that have the brush under them. Those have a lot of crappie under them right now, and the crappie fish is pretty easy. Lay Lake, little cooler nights there right now. That grass bite it still continues to pick up there. I'm pretty consistent with the swim jig, throwing that a lot. So that's kind of my go-to bait. But I'm seeing some guys still throwing some top water, some buzz baits around the grass patches. I still see some guys pitching in some of the holes in the grass, but the fish are still relating to the grass on lake, which they do year round. But there's still a little bit of forward-facing bite out on the main lake on the lower end, down around the Paint Creek area. So finding those bait balls down there, there's still a pretty strong bite if that's what you're wanting to do too. And on that lower end is not as many crappie fishermen on lay as we're seeing on Logan, but on lay, that's where the crappie seem to be holding right now too. We check those timber out down there quite a bit for bass, but it seems like the crappie are piling up on that standing timber down around the Paint Creek area and those lower 2 or 3 creeks down on that end. So crappie fishing on lay, head to the lower end, get in that standing timber, take a look around either with side scanning or your forward facing, find where the crappie are and drop a jig, vertical jig on those is probably the key.
Brother, we appreciate everything as always, and we'll talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we got Lee Pitch joining us, going to talk a little bit of fishing right here in our neck of the woods. Lee's fishing right now. Lee, are you at Weiss or Neely Henry?
I'm at Weiss right now, and Weiss is a more open body of water, and we're enjoying all the wind. Just getting everything we can out of it today.
There you go. How is the fishing?
It's a little tough. But most, especially, and I'll talk about the crappie first. Most of our crappie are out on the main lake. They're in that brush and 10, 12, 14 foot of water, and it's just kind of hard to stay out there with this wind blowing like it is. But we can still get back in some of these places on the deeper docks, picking up a few where we can get out of this wind. It's just one of those things this time of year for bass fishing. The wind is helping things. We've seen some guys and talked to them today. They're throwing more crankbaits, spinner baits, fishing riprap a little bit, and getting out on some of these gravel bars and just kind of catching the fish that had pulled up shallow to chase bait. Most of it on that right there, you're looking at your, once again, square bill, spinner bait, and throwing even some traps. I've talked to some guys that are throwing some traps out here and getting bit.
Okay. The crappie bite, how's that going?
A little slow. Some of my deeper brush piles that I'm really been concentrating on that's holding a lot of fish. You just can't sit out there on them. So, like I said, we're trying to find some of the places that the wind is not as bad. The problem with that is, hey, we're dropping live bait down there and getting bit some. It's harder to cast at them and just throw. With the light jigs, we're throwing a 1/24th. Sometimes you can get by with a 16th, but that light jig head in this wind makes it tough. The fish are still there. We just need, the wind to kind of give us a break.
All right, Neely Henry, what's happening over here?
Neely's a little bit better just because of the river system. It's a little tighter river down through there. You've got some places, with the banks with the high pines and things that you can get out of it. But Neely's been fishing pretty good this week. Bass bite has been good. The crappie bite also is picking up at Neely. A lot of these fish are starting to relate really, really well to some of the deeper docks, getting on that wood cover. Like once again, we can use jigs on them and get out there and cast and throw to them, and even starting to kind of pull on some of these, some of the flats that may have a little bit of brush on it. I've kind of swapped it up this week, long line trolling on some of this stuff, and the fish are starting to chase a little bit, so that's good. We're ready for it.
All right, brother, we appreciate everything as always, and we will talk to you again next week, my friend. Hey, we're joined by Gentry Gordy, going to talk a little bit of fishing down there in lower Alabama, talk some Lake Martin and some Jordan. Lake, where are you going to first today, Gentry?
Well, I got a little more insight on Jordan Dano. I didn't get a chance to go this week, but I talked to a friend of mine and asked him what the bass were doing up there, and he said that, man, the shad's heavy, the mouths of the pockets. He said the big fish are sitting up underneath them balls of shad in the mouths of those pockets. He said, the A-rig's really coming into play, a jerk bait, and dropping a minnow down on them. He said the big spots you can see on your live and stuff like that up underneath those balls of bait. Outside of that, though, he said still throwing a chatterbait. down around some docks and some seawalls and stuff and getting some good bites. And trash piles in about that 6 foot range. A lot of them sit right up on, on the front of those docks. He said a jig and a shaky head's getting a good largemouth here and there too.
That's good. Are you hearing anything about crappie over there at Jordan?
Yeah, I asked him, and he said that he said you'll see those. They're up under the bait, but he said they're more towards like the bait that's getting back in the pockets a little more around some of those trash piles. He said that's where he's finding his better crappie.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to Martin. What's going on over there?
Typical Martin stuff. It's just, with the water falling like it is, it's not a lot has changed, even though the temperatures dropped, but, burning a spinner bait, buzz bait, whopper plopper, over the, like the shallower trash piles that are starting to be visible in front of some of those docks. The crappie around those as well, but it's just, going down a bank with a square bill's getting bit, but your better fish are going to be on your trash piles that are, starting to be visible, got a little less water sitting on them. I like a gold with a black this time of year for some reason, and I think it's just because everything's shad. I try to throw something in there a little bit different, so I'm always black and gold this time of year. But silver blade, silver skirt is getting bit good on a buzzbait too.
All right, sounds good. What about the crappie over there at Lake Martin? Are they still out on the brush piles, or are they starting to move up a little bit?
Yeah, well, both. I think the smaller ones are kind of moving up a little bit more, but the guy that I talked to said some of the big ones are still hanging around those trash piles, especially if you can find some bait around them.
Gotcha. Brother, as always, we appreciate everything, and we'll talk to you again. Have a great week. Well, that wraps up our Bucks Island area fishing report for Saturday, November the 1st. Thank you guys for everything that you do, helping keeping us on fish. Always helps to have a little bit of information to get started with. Don't forget, folks, hey, we're coming towards that gift-giving time of the year. The Loft has got a whole bunch of stuff for that fisherman in your life, whether it's sunglasses, tackle, apparel, reels, rods, everything. We got it. Come see us over here in the Loft. We got a great gift section for you upstairs. And if you're looking to put that boat under the tree, don't forget to see Patrick, Katie, and Melissa. They'll help put you in that perfect boat for Christmas. And then, of course, if you're looking to keep yours running for this season that's coming up, or you're looking to winterize, come see us in the service department with Misty or in the parts department with Pat and everybody. Thanks for spending the time with us. You are the best part of Bucks Island, and we appreciate you.